So right up here, I'm just going to smush some color in where I kind of think I want it. There we go. Yeah, that works. So let's see, that's my big blotch of kind of light yellow, and then I've got my more of a red tone. So I'm going to mix some of my red and my yellow together. And let's smush this orangey reddish tone right next to that yellow. I think that'll look good. See, that's creating a bit of contrast right there. It makes more sense later on in the project when we have things, you know. Let me grab a little bit more red, yellow ochre. Yeah, that's pretty. Maybe some burnt umber as well. See, I'm going to start to get a little bit darker as I go out here. Yeah, that'll work. And then skip a little section because I actually want that to be, maybe like some of our dark blues that we have. So let me skip this section and go right here. Now what I'm going to do is, got another brush, and I'm going right into some of my white and my clear gel as well, and some blue and red. Blue and red, so I've got kind of a purpley tone, bluish purple. It's got clear gel in it, so it'll actually flow on the canvas. I even sneak into just a little bit of black. Not too much, or it'll be weird, but just a little bit is okay. There we go. Let's see what that does for us. That's kind of, it's a little on the dark side of that tone, but it might be okay. Go a little lighter here, a little bit more blue just right back up in here, okay? And then some red. See, I don't want to be the same old dead color. I want it to be different. Every time I reload it, I want it to be a little different. I like that. Yeah, it's good. Every time I reload, you see I'm getting a slightly different shade. You see, I think it needs to be just a little darker. On this side, I'm going to go into some black. I'm going for definitely kind of this moodier look to the corners, you know? Got that deep look. That's a lot of black. That's probably too much black. So what I'm going to do to fix that is just take some blue and red. Now, if you do too much blue, you get green. Blue and black make green. Just so you know. It's good to know. There we go. There's no sky today. This is my background, so I'm spending a little time on it because I don't want it to just be bland and boring and flat, you know what I mean? I've got my shop towel, and I'm going to start, again, in the lightest section of the sky and rub it vigorously until I get as much of that oil off the canvas as I can. I'm trying not to get too much green. If green starts to happen, and if you don't like it, see, I see a little green there. I'm not gonna, it's trees, I'm not gonna fuss about it. Just gonna roll with it. If you didn't like, if you got too much green, you're like, oh, it doesn't look like autumn anymore. It's okay, throw some pink, red and white right over it and blend it in, because the pink will mix with the green and become brown, just so you know. Wipe the grass vertically, because that will help add dimension and height. We're going the right direction. So if you come in here, you scrub this away, well, that doesn't make any sense. It's gonna look like water. But I'm gonna rub this paint in, and it's gonna, you know, give me a head start. That's all I'm trying to say. It's just gonna give me a head start. I'm gonna take a little bit more of my yellows, just a fan brush. Yellow, white, not too much mud, a little bit of red in there so that I don't get green. Because right up here, I want some sort of a transition color from the lighter golden to a darker color. And I'm going to scumble or scrub, whatever you want to call this, like so, because that's going to create just a little bit of, oh, I don't know, just textures, a little bit of something happening here. I'm going to take this 1-inch brush. I need just a little bit of black, red, and blue, plus whatever mud is in that 1-inch brush, obviously. And right up here, I'm just going to go vertically, and I want to just darken the corners a little bit. It's a little too light, so So I'm just gonna darken the corners a little bit. And again, by controlling the amount of paint on the canvas through wiping it off with shop towels and whatnot, it allows me to do this sort of thing where I otherwise wouldn't be able to, which is really cool. I mean, I'm super glad to show you. This painting has got so much to do with the background. It's so important. And so, yeah, I just want to make sure I do it right. Now, as I stand back, you see how the corners are darker and we're kind of vignetting even more now. So let's go ahead and take a filbert brush, and I'm going to paint in some white birch trees. So take some yellow, burnt umber, a little bit of white. Okay, this will be just kind of color number one. I'm gonna have multiple colors. That little weird spot there, go right over that. And look, boom, look at the contrast. Now, obviously, I can take these and I can mush them, but I don't want to do that yet. By mush them, what I mean is like I can take the values and change the values just by hitting them with a dry brush, but I don't want to do that just yet. I want to go ahead and get these in. Boom. So then what I'm planning to do, here's my plan. Take some sort of a smaller brush. My light's coming through like this. So what if I just take a smaller brush and sort of muddle, you know, the side of that tree. There we go, because I do want them to kind of blurry in the background. That's not bad. Then we'll add our little birch tree spots to it. Okay, more of that color. It's kind of an orangey tone. Now my main tree trunks are going to be right here and here. And so let's go ahead and do that. Boom, look at that. That's so pretty. You know what? I don't want to have to come back. These are kind of soft trees in the mid-ground. And let me go ahead and just get some of these little bumpy doos on here now so we don't have to stop and do it later. Sound good? There you go. Let's just do it. So all I'm doing is I'm just using my filbert brush because I don't want them too sharp. There we go. I'm just creating a few of these little movements, these little places like that on the bark. It looks good. It's a very signature birch tree look, isn't it? Over here as well. Get some of these darks. Of course, birch trees toward the bottom, very, very dark, where that bark just is all black and dark brown. Cool. And then over here the same. Oops, almost went to that wrong tree. That'll look just fine when we put our fence over it. Before we put our fence in, I'm just going to take my dark colors once more, and I'm going to actually need to bring this grass up a little higher, I think. There you go. Just going to mush in some color like so. And I want it to be super kind of blurry and just mushy here. You'll see what I mean in a minute. I'm going to spend some time sketching. So let me take some of my yellows, reds, fairly dark, because I just want that grass to come up so that my fence has got somewhere to live. I hope that's far enough up on that side. Then I might as well just mush here. It should be okay. Let me see, because I'm imagining my fence running. Yeah, that should be okay. I can always adjust it if it's not. And I'm going to take some brown and some black and some red, about equal proportions. Brown, black, and red. I'm going to come up and just begin to underpaint. That's a little dark. Actually, it's way too dark. Let me lighten that up just a little. Some of this mud. Nope, not quite. There we go. Nice. And so yeah, I'm just going to come through here and I'm just going to create some of the railings, and this is made out of logs, really. So it will be pretty organic, pretty realistic, rugged, you know what I mean? It's not going to be anything that looks like it was bought from the hardware store, if you know what I mean. Let's continue to do this here. Just go up and down, filling this in. Toward the bottom here, we're going to have weeds and grass and whatnot growing up, so leave that fairly soft. There, good color. Soft golden colors. But you can see why it was important to get that detailed drawing. Now I've got two logs stuck in the ground, side by side. As you can see here, we just go straight down with it, like so. And what that does is it gives me somewhere to put my my logs in between. I've never painted a fence exactly like this, and it's something different. I like to show you different things. There you go. Okay. Now on the highlight side, it would not hurt to go ahead and get just some yellow ochre and white and, you know, do that highlight like so. Just filling in the lines. It makes a big difference to draw it out with a palette knife like that. Now let me see. Now it needs a little teeny tinge of red. There it is. Okay, good. And so now with just barely touching that canvas, I'm going to just float like that my way down this old log. And you see what that's doing is it's creating the texture of the outside of the tree trunk. Of course, the bark is gone. And so we're seeing just the old, you know, the outside of the log, the grain pattern. Oh, that's pretty. Look at that. See, you got the little shots of highlight and whatnot. That's good. That's pretty good. I'm actually very, very happy with that. This is always a technique that when I do it, I'm like, man, that pays off. It's just so easy. And it looks almost too good for how easy it is to pull off. Okay, always happy when I do it. Let's go over here. Again, it's so easy. If it's not working for you, you're pushing down too hard. Maybe you don't have enough paint to adjust those things, you know. There. Got that a little too bright in there, but that's okay because I can come back in and fix it. Just playing. A little more white. See, this is just incredibly fast technique. So this one here, you can see I've got just a little. There we go. Just a little bit of yellow right up on there. Boom, and then just feather it, let it blend as it goes down, and then here as well. Just like so. And then let it blend as it goes down. Now I'm going to bring in my walnut oil here. That's my little cup of walnut oil. And I'm going to take my liner brush and dip right into that. You can use linseed oil or anything else that you like. I like walnut oil. I want kind of a saturated orangey tone. I do need to clarify, I like walnut oil, but it doesn't actually do anything different than linseed oil, so don't stress if you don't have it. I should say that because somebody's going to make a special trip to the art store and like, no, don't do that. It's fine. It's not any different. There we go. I'm going to take some of this saturated orange. Like, what are you doing with that color? Let me show you. It's also not very thin. You can see that. Just creamy enough to come off the brush. And I'm going to stroke in the midtones so that we have this beautiful warmth in the midtones. I'll thin it down just a little more. But you see that? I don't have a whole lot of time, unfortunately, to spend on this. But that is going to create, yeah, just a little more warmth. I'm going to lean it even more into the red side. I'm going to put a little purple with it just to calm it down slightly because I like that. See that one right there? That log, I'm really happy with the color of that log. So I want to see if I can get, you know, some of those colors also up in here. You know, the fence has to look right. I can rush the trees if I have to, but with the time that I've got available, I want to make sure that this fence is right for you. You've seen me paint trees a million times. Let's change directions for a second. Happy enough with the fence. Let's go up here, and you can see I've cleaned my palette off, and that was to remove all that wet, slippery paint, as well as some of the mud. It was kind of muddy color for the fence, and now I'm going back into brighter colors, so it's important to clean off the palette. So now I've got all these bright, beautifully saturated yellow tones and golden tones. Hansa yellow, yellow ochre, white, and red. Now let's go up here, a lot of paint. Let's go up here, and I'm just going to, remember there's not much up here because we wiped the canvas, but I'm going to just sprinkle and kind of pat. See, I'm just kind of patting and giving a little pull. You're like, oh, what in the world is that technique? I don't know. I'm just trying to put paint on the canvas. And then what I'll do is I'll pull it around. I'm putting fairly thick texture there. See that? This is acting, my canvas is acting as my second palette. You've heard me say that before. And it's holding the paint till I can get around to using it. It's one of the nice things about oil. It doesn't dry very quickly. So I have a little more time I can do stuff like this. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. Look at that. Preserving some of the details in the tree. I don't want to just obliterate everything. As well as I don't want to have to do this all again. You know what I mean? I've already put a background in. I don't want to have to put it all back. So, like, in other words, I could have just painted this one solid color. If I don't leave some of it showing through, there was no point. So leave it showing through. Darkening. Remember I talked about I don't want this too bright or it's going to compete with my fence. So I'm taking that into consideration right now. Also, darker tones. Boom, more red, more red. A little mud, a little burn umber in there might be okay. As we go away from the light. Okay. Over here as well. That's about the right value, isn't it? A little muddier perhaps. And I'm going to come up here and grab this color that is already down and pull it and blend it. Move it around. If you're like, well, mine's, you know, some people, because I know the way you paint, because I've seen you in art classes before. Some people get up here and they've got just the tiniest little bit of paint. They take a brush and they try to spread it around and nothing happens. If you didn't put enough paint down here, nothing's going to happen. You got to put a lot of paint on. Or else what you can do is just say, well, forget that. That's kind of a time-saving thing. You can say, I'm just going to paint them in individually. Well, that's fine too. So this is my comma stroke leaf here. Each one touches another. Kind of a flicking motion like so. See that? So I'm flicking it around using kind of just my wrist and fingers, holding the brush way at the back. And that is absolutely critical to do that. It gives you a much better look, in my opinion. Okay. I'm going to work these leaves in. So I'm changing between the various orange tones that are already on my palette. I need to brighten up my grass. You know, my hand is the light source coming through, striking the fence, and then, of course, it would illuminate the grass. So all I'm doing here, I'm like, what are you doing? I'm just tapping a little bit of color. I'm coming up like so, and I'm just pushing down like this. Removing the brush, bring it back up, and pushing it down. That's all. It looks like I'm going down and up, but I'm only hitting it on the down stroke, if that makes sense. Would it hurt it to go down and up? Not really, but that's just the way I'm doing it. Okay. Softness is important. It's something that I'm looking at, is softness. Don't want it to be too hard. Okay, take some of these colors up here, more Hansa yellow. And I'm just bringing in a little bit more of that, a little bit more of this. Just crunch, crunch. See, there's some left over in my drawing, you know, where I didn't fill it all in. Drawing of the fence with a palette knife is what I'm talking about. There we go. All that's okay. Don't destroy your fence. I do want to cover it, though. I do want to cover it. And I also have my dark brush, which I may need to get out here in a second. There we go. These are just some plants that are growing up, and you can see that it makes a bit of a difference. Plants are getting bigger. They're just a bunch of just choppy strokes, nothing more than just a choppy stroke. Here and there, boom, 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 boom. See that? In the foreground, I've got more deeper red tones and whatnot. Boom, 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 just like so. Kind of mottled or even like mushy, you know what I mean? And it creates some variation in the leaf itself, which is cool. I'm running out of red there, but that's okay. Get some more here in a second if I want it, but that's good. Got a few of these little lumpy clumps of just detail. Again, I'm not trying to do anything other than just, that one's a little bright. I'll mix that in some. I'm not trying to do anything other than just make it feel like some tall plants, because there would be tall plants growing up in here around that fence for sure. Let's take some walnut oil again. You can use literally any kind of oil you like from the art store, but I just like that. And I'm coming up here and I'm going to bring in some blades of grass to kind of push some of that back, create some nice tall stuff. Very good. Okay, dark ones. See that, to just kind of blend in down in this area. I don't want them too bright. That's getting too bright. Put some variation leaves in there, see that? Let's go back over here before I change. It's important to go ahead and just use up the color everywhere you want it to and then change, versus having to stop all the time. You know what I mean? Put it everywhere you want and then move on to the next color. Put that color everywhere you want. Paint smart, you know what I mean? Instead of doing a whole bunch of extra work. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe if you're not already, and click the like button. That helps me out a lot. Stick around, watch a couple more videos, and stay inspired.